You know what I realized the other day? I was sitting with a friend who was crying over her relationship, and she kept saying, I just don't understand why we keep having the same fights over and over again. And it hit me. It wasn't about what they were fighting about. It was never about the dirty dishes or whose turn it was to take out the trash. It was about something so much deeper. Something that most of us never learned in school, never got taught by our parents, and honestly, something that could completely transform the way we love. And that's emotional intelligence. Now, before you click away thinking this is going to be some boring psychology lecture, hear me out. Because what I'm about to share with you might actually save your relationship. Or if you're single right now, it might help you build the healthiest, most beautiful relationship you've ever had when the right person comes along. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you got upset with your partner, and instead of actually telling them how you felt, you just said, I'm fine? Yeah, I see you nodding. We've all been there, right? We've all had those moments where we're clearly not fine, but we say we are because we don't even know how to put our feelings into words. Or maybe we're scared of how they'll react. Or maybe, just maybe, we don't even fully understand what we're feeling ourselves. That right there, that's where emotional intelligence comes in. And I'm telling you, once you understand this, once you really get it, everything changes. Your fights become productive, your love becomes deeper, your connection becomes unshakable. Because here's the truth that nobody tells you. Love is not enough. I know, that sounds harsh. But stay with me. Love is the foundation, absolutely. But emotional intelligence, that's the structure you build on top of it. That's what keeps the house standing when the storms come. Let me tell you what emotional intelligence actually is, because it's not just some trendy buzzword that relationship experts throw around. Emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, while also being able to recognize, understand, and respond to your partner's emotions. It's like having an internal GPS for feelings, both yours and theirs. And in a relationship, this GPS is what helps you navigate through the rough terrain, the arguments, the misunderstandings, the moments where you feel like you're speaking completely different languages. Think about it this way. You know how sometimes your partner comes home from work and they're in a mood, and your first instinct might be to take it personally, to think, what did I do wrong? Or to get defensive because their energy is bringing you down. Someone with high emotional intelligence pauses. They recognize that their partner's mood isn't about them. They can sense that something else is going on, and instead of reacting from their own insecurity or frustration, they respond with curiosity and compassion. Hey, you seem off. Want to talk about it? That's emotional intelligence in action. But here's where it gets really interesting. Emotional intelligence starts with you. It starts with being honest with yourself about what you're actually feeling. And this is where most of us struggle, because we were never taught how to do this. We grew up in a world that told us to push down our feelings, to not be too emotional, to just get over it. Especially if you're a man watching this, you probably grew up being told that showing emotions was weak. Or if you're a woman, maybe you were called too emotional, too sensitive, too much, so we learned to disconnect from our feelings. And then we enter relationships wondering why we feel so disconnected from our partners. Here's what I've learned, and this changed everything for me. You cannot give your partner emotional support if you don't know how to give it to yourself first. You cannot help them navigate their feelings if you're drowning in your own. It's like that airplane safety announcement, right? Put your own oxygen mask on first before helping others. Emotional intelligence works the same way. So let's talk about what this actually looks like in a real relationship. Let's say you and your partner are having an argument about money. On the surface, it's about money. But if you have emotional intelligence, you start to dig deeper. You start to ask yourself, why am I really upset right now? Is it actually about the money, or is it about feeling unheard? Is it about fear? Is it about control? Is it about not feeling valued? And then you communicate that. Not, you never listen to me about money, but when we make big financial decisions without discussing them together, I feel scared and unimportant. I feel like my input doesn't matter, and that makes me question if we're really a team. Do you see the difference? One is an accusation. The other is vulnerability. One puts your partner on the defensive, the other invites them into your emotional world. And when you can do that, when you can name what you're actually feeling and why, you're not just arguing anymore. You're connecting. You're building intimacy even in the middle of conflict. But emotional intelligence isn't just about you expressing yourself. It's also about how you receive your partner's emotions. And this is where so many relationships fall apart. Your partner comes to you upset about something, and what do we usually do? We try to fix it. We offer solutions. We minimize their feelings. We say things like, "It's not that big of a deal," or "Just don't think about it," or "You're overreacting." And we do this because their discomfort makes us uncomfortable. We don't know how to sit with their pain without trying to make it go away. But here's what your partner actually needs in those moments. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need you to say, "I see that you're hurting, and I'm here with you in this. Tell me more about what you're feeling." That's it. That's the magic formula. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to make their problems disappear. You just need to show up emotionally and hold space for whatever they're going through. I remember this one time. I was going through something really difficult at work, and I came home just emotionally exhausted, and my partner at the time immediately started giving me advice, telling me what I should do, how I should handle it, what I was doing wrong. And I just felt so alone, because what I needed wasn't advice. What I needed was for someone to just sit with me and say, "That sounds really hard. I'm sorry you're dealing with this." That's emotional intelligence. That's knowing the difference between when someone needs solutions and when they just need support. And you know what's beautiful about developing emotional intelligence in your relationship? It creates safety, real, deep, emotional safety. And when you feel safe with someone, when you know they're not going to judge you or dismiss you or make you feel stupid for feeling the way you feel, you open up. You share the parts of yourself you've been hiding. You let them see your fears, your insecurities, your dreams, your past wounds. And that's when real intimacy happens. Not physical intimacy, although that definitely gets better too, but emotional intimacy. Soul-level connection. Let me tell you about the 4 key components of emotional intelligence in relationships, because understanding these will literally change how you show up for your partner. First, there's self-awareness. This is your ability to recognize what you're feeling in the moment and understand why you're feeling it. Most people walk around completely disconnected from their emotions. They're angry, but they don't know why. They're sad, but they can't identify the source. They're anxious, but they blame it on external things instead of looking inward. Self-awareness means you're paying attention to your internal world. You're checking in with yourself throughout the day. You're asking, "How am I feeling right now? What triggered this feeling? What do I need?" The second component is self-regulation. This is your ability to manage your emotions in healthy ways instead of letting them control you. It's the pause between feeling something and reacting to it. It's being able to feel angry without screaming, being able to feel hurt without shutting down, being able to feel anxious without lashing out. Self-regulation doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. That's actually the opposite of what we want. It means acknowledging them, feeling them, and then choosing how you respond. It's emotional maturity at its finest. The third component is empathy, and this is huge in relationships. Empathy is your ability to put yourself in your partner's shoes and feel what they're feeling. Not just intellectually understand it, but actually feel it with them. When your partner is sad, you feel that sadness. When they're excited, you feel that joy. Empathy is what bridges the gap between two separate people and creates a unified emotional experience. It's what makes your partner feel truly understood, like you get them on a level that nobody else does. And the fourth component is social skills, or in the context of relationships, I like to call it relational intelligence. This is your ability to communicate effectively, to navigate conflicts in healthy ways, to build and maintain that deep connection over time. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to give space and when to move closer, when to be gentle and when to be direct. It's reading the emotional temperature of your relationship and adjusting accordingly. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds like a lot of work. Relationships are supposed to be easy, right? If it's the right person, shouldn't this all just come naturally? And I get it. We've been sold this fairy tale that when you meet your soulmate, everything will just magically work out. But that's not real life. Real life is two imperfect people with their own trauma, their own baggage, their own emotional patterns, trying to build something beautiful together. And yes, that takes work, but it's the most rewarding work you'll ever do. Because here's what happens when both people in a relationship are emotionally intelligent. Conflicts don't feel like battles anymore. They feel like opportunities to understand each other better. When you mess up, and you will mess up because we're all human, You don't get defensive. You take responsibility. You say, I hear you, I understand why that hurt you, and I'm sorry. Help me understand what you need from me right now. And your partner, because they're also emotionally intelligent, doesn't hold grudges. They don't keep score. They forgive and move forward because they know you're trying. You start to notice patterns in your relationship, and instead of repeating them over and over, you break them. You realize, every time we get stressed about money, we end up in the same fight, because we're both bringing our childhood experiences with money into this. Let's talk about that. Let's understand where these reactions are coming from. And suddenly, you're not just addressing surface-level problems. You're healing together. You're growing together. Let me share something personal with you. I used to be terrible at this. I mean, really bad. I would shut down whenever there was conflict. I would bottle up my feelings until I exploded. I would assume my partner could read my mind and then get upset when they didn't meet expectations I never communicated. I was operating from a place of low emotional intelligence, and it destroyed relationships that could have been beautiful. And I didn't even realize what I was doing wrong until I started doing the work on myself. I started going to therapy. I started journaling every day about my feelings. I started reading books about emotional intelligence and attachment styles and communication. And slowly, things started to change. I started to recognize when I was feeling triggered and why. I started to communicate my needs clearly instead of expecting people to guess. I started to show up for others' emotions without making them about me, and my relationships transformed. Not just romantic relationships, but all my relationships. One of the biggest game changers for me was learning about attachment styles. If you don't know about this, I highly recommend looking into it because it explains so much about how we show up in relationships. Basically, based on our childhood experiences, we develop patterns of attachment. Some of us are secure, we feel comfortable with intimacy and independence. Some of us are anxious, we crave closeness but fear abandonment. Some of us are avoidant, we value independence but struggle with emotional intimacy. And some of us are a mix. Understanding your attachment style and your partner's attachment style is a huge part of emotional intelligence because it helps you understand why you react the way you do in certain situations. For example, if you have an anxious attachment style, you might need more reassurance and communication than someone with a secure attachment style. And that's okay. That's not being needy. That's just your nervous system trying to feel safe. If your partner has an avoidant attachment style, they might need more space and alone time than you do. And that's okay too. That's not them pulling away from you, that's just how they regulate their emotions. When you understand these things, you stop taking everything personally. You start to see the bigger picture. Another crucial aspect of emotional intelligence in relationships is knowing how to repair. Because listen, you're going to hurt each other. That's inevitable. You're going to say things you don't mean. You're going to misunderstand each other. You're going to let each other down. The question isn't if that will happen, it's what you do when it does. People with high emotional intelligence know how to repair ruptures quickly and effectively. They don't let things fester. They don't give the silent treatment. They come back. They apologize sincerely. They ask what they can do to make it right. And they actually do it. And then they move on. They don't bring it up in every future fight. They don't use it as ammunition. They truly forgive and release it. You know what else emotional intelligence gives you? The ability to celebrate each other's wins without jealousy or competition. I see so many relationships where one person achieves something great, and instead of the other person being genuinely happy for them, there's this weird tension, there's comparison, there's insecurity. But when you're emotionally intelligent, you've done enough inner work that you're secure in yourself. Your partner's success doesn't threaten you. It actually makes you happier, because you love them and you want them to thrive. You become each other's biggest cheerleaders. And let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough. Emotional intelligence during the good times. Because it's not just about navigating conflict and hard emotions. It's also about being present during moments of joy. It's about not numbing yourself to positive emotions because you're scared they won't last. It's about letting yourself be fully happy, fully in love, fully grateful without waiting for the other shoe to drop. So many of us are so used to pain and drama that we don't even know how to handle peace and happiness. We sabotage it. We create problems where there aren't any. Emotional intelligence means being able to sit with all emotions, including the really good ones. I want to talk about something that I think is really important, And that's the difference between emotional intelligence and emotional labor. Because sometimes people hear about emotional intelligence and they think it means constantly managing everyone else's feelings, constantly being the bigger person, constantly sacrificing your own emotional needs for the sake of keeping the peace. And that's not it. That's emotional labor, and it's exhausting, and it's not sustainable. Emotional intelligence means both people are doing the work. Both people are self-aware. Both people are regulating their emotions. Both people are showing empathy. Both people are communicating. If you're the only one trying, if you're the only one being understanding, if you're the only one compromising, that's not a relationship with emotional intelligence. That's a relationship where you're carrying all the emotional weight, and that will drain you until there's nothing left. A healthy relationship is one where both people are committed to growing their emotional intelligence together, where both people are willing to look at their patterns and do better, where both people take responsibility for their part in conflicts, where both people show up even when it's hard. And if you're in a relationship where you're the only one doing this, where your partner dismisses your feelings or refuses to do any inner work or blames you for everything, then no amount of emotional intelligence on your part is going to fix that, because you can't do the work for two people. So how do you actually develop emotional intelligence if you feel like you're starting from scratch? First, start paying attention to your body. Your body holds so much emotional information that your mind tries to ignore. When you feel tension in your chest, what emotion is that? When your stomach drops, what are you afraid of? When your jaw clenches, what are you angry about? Your body is always communicating with you. You just have to learn its language. Second, expand your emotional vocabulary. Most of us operate with like 5 emotions: happy, sad, angry, scared, and fine. But there are hundreds of emotions, and the more specific you can get, the better you can understand yourself and communicate with your partner. You're not just sad, you're disappointed. You're not just angry, you're frustrated. You're not just happy, you're content or excited or proud. Words matter. They help you make sense of your internal experience. Third, get curious about your triggers. We all have them. Those moments where we go from 0 to 100 in 2 seconds flat, where we completely overreact to something small. Those are triggers, and they're usually connected to past wounds. Maybe your partner forgot to text you back and you spiraled into anxiety. That's probably not actually about the text. That's probably about a past experience where someone disappeared on you or made you feel unimportant. When you can recognize these patterns, you can communicate them. Hey, I know this seems silly, but when you don't text me back for hours, it triggers this fear in me that you're pulling away. I'm working on it, but in the meantime, would you be willing to just send me a quick message so I know you're okay? Fourth, practice sitting with uncomfortable emotions instead of immediately trying to escape them. We live in a world that tells us to avoid discomfort at all costs. We're supposed to be happy all the time. So when we feel sad or anxious or angry, we reach for distractions. We scroll social media, we binge Netflix, we drink, we shop, we do anything to not feel what we're feeling. But emotions are information. They're trying to tell you something. And when you can sit with them, when you can say, okay, I'm feeling really anxious right now, let me just breathe through this and see what it's trying to tell me, you develop emotional resilience. And fifth, practice empathy with yourself first. We're often so much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on another person. We beat ourselves up for making mistakes, for not being perfect, for having needs. But you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't be emotionally intelligent with your partner if you're emotionally abusive to yourself. So practice self-compassion. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love. You know what I love most about emotional intelligence in relationships? It makes love sustainable. Because that initial spark, that honeymoon phase where everything is perfect and easy, that doesn't last forever. It can't. Real life comes in. Stress comes in. Differences come in. And that's when you need more than just chemistry and attraction. You need the skills to navigate real life together. You need emotional intelligence. I truly believe that emotional intelligence is the difference between a relationship that crumbles at the first sign of trouble and a relationship that grows stronger through adversity. It's the difference between feeling alone even when you're with someone and feeling truly seen and understood. It's the difference between surface-level connection and soul-deep intimacy. And here's the beautiful thing. It's never too late to develop this. Whether you've been together for 6 months or 16 years, whether you're in a good place or struggling, you can start today. You can start by checking in with yourself right now. How are you feeling? Why are you feeling that way? What do you need? And then you can have a conversation with your partner. Not an accusatory one, not a dramatic one, just an honest one. Hey, I've been thinking a lot about how we communicate and how we handle emotions, and I want us to get better at it. I want us to really understand each other. Can we work on this together? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Two people choosing each other, not just in the easy moments, but in the hard ones. Two people committed to understanding each other's hearts, minds, and souls. Two people willing to do the uncomfortable work of growth because they know what's on the other side is worth it. A love that's not just passionate, but peaceful. Not just exciting, but secure. Not just intense, but enduring. So if you take nothing else away from this video, take this. Your emotions are valid. Your feelings matter. And learning to understand them, express them, and navigate them with your partner is not optional if you want a healthy, thriving relationship. It's essential. It's everything. Start today. Start right now. Check in with yourself. Check in with your partner. Have the conversations you've been avoiding. Feel the feelings you've been suppressing. Be brave enough to be vulnerable. Be patient enough to listen. Be humble enough to admit when you're wrong. Be compassionate enough to forgive. That's emotional intelligence. That's love. If this resonated with you, if something I said clicked or helped you see things differently, do me a favor. Hit that like button so I know this video was helpful. Drop a comment and tell me your biggest takeaway or share your own experiences with emotional intelligence in relationships. I read every single comment and I love hearing from you. And if you want more content like this, real talk about relationships, emotional health, and personal growth, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. I'm here creating content every week to help you build the love life you deserve. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for caring enough about your relationship to watch this whole video. You're already on the right path. Keep going. I believe in you, and I'm rooting for you. I'll see you in the next one.